was our first recipient in another country, Honduras as well. And before I go as a site examiner, I study a little bit about the country I'm going to try to learn more about them and what it's like there. And here's what I read, news stories about murder capital of the world, okay? Ooh, this doesn't sound good. I'm not sharing that with my wife. And I look at the GDP per capita of Honduras, and I find it's the poorest country in Central America, and it is in competition for the poorest country in all of the Americas, with places like Haiti and so on. And I go, wow, there's an organization that's really serious about doing this in a country that doesn't seem to be very compatible and not very supportive. There's got to be a story here. Well, luckily I got assigned by our team lead to interview the general manager, the plant manager there, Mauricio. Mauricio's right there, so I'm embarrassing him right now, that's okay. And I had the chance to interview him and talk to him about, he's a very educated guy, worked in the States, educated in the States, was working in the States and decided to go back to Honduras. And I asked him, why did you come back here? I mean, murder capital of the world, it's a poor place. And to his credit, he said, because I wanted to make a difference in my country. I wanted them to see that there's a better way. I wanted to change it for the better. Let me give you an example of how they do this. One of the problems they have in Honduras is most people don't finish school. They drop out somewhere in the range of 6th grade to 8th grade, and almost all of the people that work in their plant are in that condition. They're not educated. And so they undertook an initiative to educate their workforce. The managers and engineers who had all been to university got certified as teachers by the Ministry of Education. They got permission and accredited by the Ministry of Education to start a high school in their company. So they now have the Land Apparel High School in Puerto Cortez, Honduras, teaching the people that dropped out of school along the way basic math and basic reading skills and so on. What Mauricio and when I talked to their HR manager said to me was, we can't teach them how to do more advanced tools and systems until they have more basic education. So we've got to raise them up first before we can raise them up to the next level next. And I just go, wow. So they have had over 1,000 students in their classes. They lengthened their lunch. I should need to tell you this. How did they do this? They lengthened their lunch hour to 1 hour and 20 minutes so that they can teach classes over lunch. So people come, they start earlier, they can leave work later, and they do school in the middle of the day with the managers and engineers teaching the classes. And to me, that is a great story. How do you raise up your workforce? And how do you inspire your country to change? That's the sort of thing, that's the sort of thing that we can do in this movement. We can make a difference. We can bring more people. We can affect more lives if we bring more people under the umbrella. The purpose that you may have may be different, but that embodies it is how do we set an example? How do we influence others for good and help them realize the good that they can have through adopting the principles within their organizations? Thank you.